3, 2, 1, go. We match.
We do.
We are cute.
We do this though, don't we? Like
we
show up to
and
each
we
other.
have we have the same outfit on.
Yeah,
it's crazy because we did not plan this. We did not wake up like this.
No, but we've been together too long, and our brains are starting to sync.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good thing.
How's your day been?
Oh my God, this is the first moment I've been able to think about it. Run. Is this Good Friday? This is a holiday? No, not for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I've been going all day.
Yeah.
And I stayed out too late with my girlfriends last night, which I don't stay out past midnight ever.
Midnight? You don't stay out past 9.
I know. I was out past midnight last night, and I was so I had to be up this morning early, and I was so tired, and I'm like, oh. So I'm like, my brain's not firing on all cylinders right now.
We remember that time when I went dancing and I was totally like that the next day. I'm like, I can't think. I don't really know what's happening.
But today we're talking about vulnerability.
Oh.
And
with good reason.
With good reason. So, you want to tell them? You go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're about to get real vulnerable.
We are about to get very vulnerable.
Ooh, in 3 weeks.
Yeah. So we have been invited by Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, which is a local charity that helps women through their pregnancies and getting them to the end of their pregnancy with a healthy baby. That's kind of like the whole goal, is to basically, increase it's not the birth rate.
Birth outcomes.
Positive
Positive outcomes.
Right. And so they've asked us to be the keynote speakers at their Moments Luncheon, which they hold every year right before Mother's Day.
Right. And I think Allison Seligman was the keynote last year.
Yes.
So really nerve-wracking to go behind her because she's amazing.
Which is funny enough, I just had Allison on my podcast, and she was talking about how that she's been doing a couple keynotes lately, and it is the most terrifying thing she's ever done.
Yeah.
She feels like she's totally vulnerable and putting herself out there, but she's like, it is such a rush, and I just can't stop doing it. Like, it's my new thing. I love it.
It's the highest high and the lowest
terrifying.
low.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I think, it's really interesting because I was talking with a girlfriend today about playing it safe. And how, like, you just get in this sort of, okay, this feels safe, and I know what to expect, and, in this job, in this relationship, in this whatever, and so you get in this little safe zone.
Yeah.
And it's hard to put yourself into a vulnerable position, which, that's what getting out of that safe zone is.
I have a confession to make.
What?
My whole life is the safe zone. Until what your friends won't tell you. And until the news.
Yeah.
All my clients, I get to pick. They're all word of mouth. I don't even advertise.
Right.
So if it's your friend, who I love you. Right. So if it's your friend, I love them.
You're safe.
I'm safe. And then they come in, and if they're awful, I refer them.
Right. So what if my friends?
If I referred you, let me retract that. How is that? Let me retract that.
I can't help you.
I get to pick
right.
who it really clicks with. So there's some people that have clicked and they've come to me and been like, well, you don't work the way I would like.
Right.
And then there's some people that I don't click with them, and I feel like, not
you're
that they're bad,
help them.
but if I don't click with you, then you're not getting like the goodness, because if I love you, then then you're really going to get the best of me.
Yeah.
So I refer to people like, oh, you know what, you'd be so much better with this person, or you're going to click more, even with my mom, you know? But that's really, so I created an office full of people that we totally click, and they're totally safe.
Yeah.
And I want to say my children are safe sometimes. My husband is safe, and all my best girlfriends so safe. There are times I'm at Publix and I'm like, I can't do this world. Where I'm like, who are these people?
Well, listen, have you been to the deli at the Pucks and Boca? Because then you will not feel safe.
No, I live in gardens where it's super safe and there's no scary delis. But it's really true. And when it came time to do the news or to do what your friends will tell you, this topic, Brene Brown, really speaks to me, because she has these TED Talks. And one of the TED Talks, she said, I have a hangover because I spoke and I told everybody my stuff, and then I woke up the next day and I wanted to die. And I feel like that concept, the more I put myself out there, the more doing these videos, now speaking in front of potentially 300 women, there are going to be people there that don't like me, don't agree with me, don't like what I say. It's very vulnerable. That's not my safe village. It's the world. So it's terrifying.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I remember when I first met you, you weren't even on Facebook. And the reason was because you were just
safe bubble.
Yeah, that was outside of your safe zone.
Yeah.
Like you didn't want people friending you that maybe, from your past or whatever, whatever it was. You were like, I do not, so that was your safe zone. So even getting a Facebook page, I think, was vulnerable for you.
I just realized, are the reason
of
all my problems. You want me on Instagram, Facebook, you want me doing this, you want me on the TV, you are the problem.
That's right, I'm sorry.
You're pushing me.
I'm so sorry. So anyway, we're the keynote speakers at this event. It's May 10th, which is a Friday. If you want to come,
3 weeks from today.
It is 3 weeks from today. You can buy tickets still, I think, and you can come. And what we're doing is it's almost gonna be like one of our full production episodes. So we're live streaming it, and it's gonna be super kind of exciting. We're gonna be up on a stage in like comfy chairs, talking about
being a mom.
Whew. Yeah. Which is vulnerable in and of itself.
Oh my God, yes. What shall we say?
I know. So Shannon and I have been preparing. Actually, Shannon's been doing most of the preparing. She's like, I've written our whole speech. She's like, you just need to come up with 3 things. I'm like, okay, I can do that. But it's and people think that because I was on TV for however many years, that, this whole thing is so easy for me. And it's not. It is very, very different to look into a camera than it is to look and talk to a room full of people that are looking back at you. And so that is a very vulnerable thing for me. I've done a lot of emceeing, so I have been in front of large groups of people and spoken in front of large groups of people, but I've never keynoted before.
You're not speaking to those large groups about yourself. You're saying, hey, everybody, welcome to the bash.
Here's my script that says, now introduce this person. Right,
this is about you.
Yeah,
your parenting, what's painful for you, what's been good for you, what do you believe about parenting. It's vulnerable.
Yeah, it is very vulnerable. So what are some of the tools that we can use to get past our vulnerabilities?
Well,
So these are for us. Clearly. Well, we're going to need this for a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah, the first.
We've already said yes, so we can't. So that's the first thing. Just say yes.
Say yes. Just shake your head. Well, that's what I was going to say. I love Brene Brown. Her books, Daring Greatly, all that great stuff. She talks about you just need to lean into it, and you just need to be vulnerable. Like you need to put yourself out there. And so I think the very first thing is to say yes to things. I mean, how easy for me to say no to Channel 12 or to say no when you called me and said, hey, let's do it live. And I was like, what is that? And I really wanted to be like, no live, And when we were asked about the keynote, we could have, and I tried. I was like, that's a very busy month. I've got a kid coming home from college. I got a kid going to college.
I don't know. My kid might be graduating that day.
Mother's Day weekend. My husband's birthday.
You had a lot of reasons not to do it.
I did. But at the end of the day, you need to lean in. You need to say yes. And the reason, I think, is, if I can reflect back to Alison Seligman, is that what I found about public speaking, too, is it's so amazing. I mean, you feel so good. It's invigorating. It's alive. You feel so. It's like so many of the things we're afraid to do. I had a client recently come in who walked through some fears with something, and she's like, "I'm the happiest I've ever been," and yet she really didn't want to walk through it. And she had to. So this is one of those things, like if you force yourself a little bit and then you love it. And it's the happiest you ever feel. So that's, leaning in is important because otherwise you're missing out on so many things. So I think that's the first thing is when, put yourself out there. The other thing that Brene Brown says that I love is people are typically not vulnerable because they're afraid of losing people. And I love what she says. I think in Daring Greatly, she says, you are going to lose people. You are definitely going to lose people. However, if you are part of a village of trusted friends and family, and you have people in your life and in your heart and in your world when, not if, you lose people, you will get through it because of those other people.
Yeah.
And so that's so profound, because most people want to stay alone because they don't want to get hurt. Right? And they don't want to let people in. But it's those people you let in that get you through the other loss.
Right, exactly. And the helpers will always show up, you know, those people that you need. It's so funny. I was recently, a lot of people have been saying to me, which is really funny, and it's not funny, but a lot of my girlfriends have been saying, you're replacing me with so-and-so, or you're replacing me with so-and-so, because they see me with, you know, other people a lot. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm not replacing you, you know? So it's very interesting, like those kind of vulnerabilities too that you see in people, you know, when they're afraid that they're losing you, you know? And so I think it's also important to realize that when someone is taking a different step or taking a leap, that it's not, you know, they're not necessarily walking away from you or walking away from your relationship. It's maybe that they just need to find themselves. You know, this has been coming up a lot with me, leaving my career and then moving into my own thing. So I've been trying to, you know, figure that out. And I think a lot of people feel like they're being replaced in my life. Yeah. And I think that's something that's been very interesting that's come up with me about vulnerability and, you know, kind of how some of the relationships change a little bit in that.
Well, you know, what jumps on me from that is the concept that I think so many of us, and I don't want to pick on anybody. Let me just talk about me. Like, when you're in a dysfunctional family, there usually is not enough to go around. Yeah. There's not enough love. There's not enough energy or time. Dad's a workaholic or mom's an alcoholic. I mean, my mom was an alcoholic. There's not enough to go around. You're only sober however many hours a day. And so there's not enough to go around. Or then when she got sober and she was trying to get sober, she was, you know, doing so well, she had to get sober. So there weren't enough hours of the day. There was not enough left for me. So I was jealous of her, you know, sponsees, they call it, or then she becomes a therapist and she has so many clients, and so there's not enough time to go around. So when you grow up in some dysfunction, there's this concept that there's not enough. Yeah. But what I've learned, because my mom's so healthy and so wonderful, is she's shown me now over the past few years, like, I'm a priority for her. Right. She might have 50 clients, but when I call her and say, I don't feel well, she's like, I'll cancel my day. Right. And she's there. Right. Or whatever. And so there's enough time and there's enough love in healthy relationships. Yeah. But if you come from lack and then you become vulnerable and you go, okay, God, I'll trust Suzanne. Right. I'll let her in because she seems safe. Right. And then I get close to you, I spend every day with you, and then you leave the studio and you're hanging out with Lori all the time. We all know who stole you. It's Lori. And you're with Lori all the time. I love you, Lori. I know you're watching. I saw you. And you're with Lori all the time. Then I'm going to say, oh my God, you love Lori now. More. Instead of, I love you and Lori, and there's plenty of love to go around, there's plenty of time to go around, there's plenty of energy to go around, there's enough. But when you come from lack, that's how, you know, it's like how it is. That old, and I'm not, you know, diagnosing anybody, but I can relate to that concept of having to go, wait a minute, Suzanne loves me and Lori and Tina and Steph and who am I forgetting? Sam and Terry and everyone
and Shannon.
Yeah, there's enough.
Lori says hashtag just the employee.
Oh no, you're so much more. She likes being with you.
Lori got me in trouble last night.
Oh, just the employee.
That's right. She's the reason I'm tired.
No, but you know what? It's really the case. I mean, isn't that funny? It's like she adores being with you and she loves you. You're not just the employee, and that's okay. She can love you and love me and love all these other people, but we do get that lack feeling sometimes. You know, those of us that have come up in any dysfunction, which is like the rest of the world.
Which is all of us.
It's all of us, right? So that's important.
Yeah. All right. So getting back to your tools, because this is really about we kind of got on a little sidetrack there, but which we always do. But you know, this is really about putting yourself out there and doing things that you normally wouldn't do. You know, it's so funny. I was listening to a show the other day, and it was like a dating show. Don't ask. Someone told me I had to watch it. It's called Dating Around. It's on Netflix. It's actually really, it's really,
disturbing?
Not disturbing. It's like hard to stop watching.
Addicting.
Like it's addictive. It's addictive. I was like, why am I watching this show?
Everything on Netflix is.
But one of the girls was on a date, and the guy asked her, "What's on your bucket list?" And she goes, I don't have a bucket list. And she goes, I just believe in living every day to its fullest, and I don't have a bucket list, which I thought was kind of an interesting way to look at things.
Yeah.
But, you know, I also think it's important to have things that you really, really want to do one day, you know, and that, you know, why not start today doing those things?
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And I think it's probably all about different personalities, right? The planners versus the non-planners.
Yes.
The spontaneous versus the
non-spontaneous.
But back to tools is the second thing is, much like Brene Brown says, you are going to lose people. You are going to be criticized.
Yeah.
If you put yourself out there, you are going to be criticized. And I think you need to do some soul searching before you even do that. Like I started thinking about this yesterday, and that's when I watched one of Brene Brown's podcasts about the critical people, like why the critics don't matter, I think it's called, and it's so great. And when I was going through just trying to find something, I like to do that in the morning when I'm getting ready. I try to put something in my brain. Now you taught me that.
Yeah,
I used
positive.
I used to just waste the time, but now. So, and that jumped out at me, and I was like, oh, and I felt it like, oh God, I'm speaking in 3 weeks. The critics are coming.
Yes.
So I was like, go ahead and watch that one. So I think it's important to note and to know you are going to be criticized, and then decide what you feel about that and what you think about that. You know, Brene Brown says, if you're not kind of putting yourself out there with me and you're not in the arena with me, I don't really care what you have to say. And, you know, I think for me, and I'd love to hear what your position is, but for me, I understand as a clinician that naysaying and criticism most often is about our own insecurity.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
So when somebody criticizes me, oftentimes I say to myself, I'm really triggering them. I might be triggering them because I'm like their mom who they adore, or like their mom that they hate.
Right.
I might be triggering them because I remind them of the part of themselves that they don't like. Karen, it is so happy to see you and do a new episode. It's new episodes for you, Karen, because you said, give me a new episode.
And Rachel says, I stopped caring what people thought about me a long time ago. It was so freeing. Yes.
It is, because, so for me, I come from it from, I think some people can come from it from an angry angle. I come from it from a compassionate place most of the time of like, wow, I'm really pushing your button and I'm really triggering you, and that's more about you than me. And so, and then the second thing I like to do is to, I think it's healthy to observe what the person said and do an internal check. So say somebody says, oh my God, these things that Suzanne and Shannon do. Shannon just talks about herself. She's such a narcissist, blah, blah, blah. I have learned, I do want to pause and go, am I a narcissist? Is it all about me? Do I talk about myself too much? And then get to my answer and my truth, which 9 out of 10 times would be like, for this circumstance, I would say, well, you know, I can't talk about my clients.
Yeah.
I have to protect HIPAA, so we decided we would talk about ourselves, and hopefully it generalized.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm a narcissist. That doesn't resonate with me. But I do like to look, because sometimes people are holding up a mirror. But quickly, if I dismiss that second piece and say, no, this isn't really who I am, then I let them have it. I'll give it back to you, because I don't think that it has to do with me. It's a 90-10 rule.
Yeah.
When people get triggered and they're really like, you're this and you're that, it's usually about them.
Yeah. Oh.
And we're the 10%.
And also, you really have to take the critique into account. Rhonda says, I can totally relate to this topic. I just told a new friend of mine that I don't like making new friends because I'm afraid of getting hurt and judged, etc. I've learned that it's okay if some people do not like me or agree with me. That's very true.
Yeah.
I have many who love me and support me, and I'm a much better listener than talker. I like my safe zone. In a nutshell, though, for the most part, when I step out of my comfort zone, good things usually happen. Yes, they do.
Thank you.
100%.
That comment just reminded me of another concept or tool. If you don't step out and become vulnerable, you will not find your people.
Yeah.
And I was the person in my 20s that a lot of people didn't like, because I know this might shock you, but I'm talkative and loud. Right? And I'm a bit of a big, I talk with my hands and I move a lot. Right. And so I'm the girl in the restaurant that a lot of times people do this. They're like,
me too.
Right? They turn around and they're kind of like they kind of want to be like, shh.
Yeah, my assistant news director back in the day always used to tell me, Suzanne, because she was Cuban, she's like, I swear you must be Cuban because you are so loud. She's like, I don't know where this comes. I'm like, it's my mom. I get it from my mom. But yeah, I know, I'm the same way.
But here's the thing. So people that are loud, that talk with their hands, that do what we do, quiet people don't really typically like us.
Yeah.
Because we're overstimulating for them.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because guess what? I get a little bored by that person, truth be told.
Right.
So we're not necessarily a match, and that's okay. But if I don't be myself and put myself out there, then I wouldn't have found you.
Right.
One loud talker to another who's animated, who's got all these facial expressions.
Got the hands.
Right. We're knocking stuff over, right? Throwing stuff. So we found each other.
Right.
So if you don't put yourself out there and you play small, you won't find your village or your people.
That's very true.
So thank you for that comment.
Yeah, that is very true.
Hi, Dana.
Hi, Dana. Yeah, and I was thinking, look, when I saw the Dana popped out, like Dana has put herself out there. She's come to a couple of our shows, really put herself out there, and kind of started this business after like really kind of, getting vulnerable. And it was something she was already doing, but she had fear, and she had like, she wanted to stay in her little safe zone, but she's really, she's one of those people that put herself out there and came to on her own, which is hard for a lot of people. She didn't have like a crew of girlfriends with her. She came by herself. Right. It's like going to eat at a restaurant by yourself. Right. How often do you do that? Right. Right. Do you ever go to a restaurant by yourself and eat?
I'm an only child. I do everything by myself.
You're like, yes, I do that.
I sit at the bar and I wave my hands around.
That's terrifying. The thought of going to a restaurant by myself and just sitting at a table by myself, like I'm like, oh, like well, people think I'm,
That's so interesting. I mean, that's really funny that you said that, because I've literally been doing that my entire life.
Oh.
Because I'm so used to just entertaining myself.
Right.
Right. So I'm sit at the bar and I'll talk to whoever got there. I'm the girl that people get on the plane and they're like, oh Jesus, put the headphones in. She's coming for me. Oh my God. They like open their book before they sit down next to me and they're like, and I'm like,
where are you from? You're like on the rest in the middle.
Hey fella, love your shirt.
Susan says, I was always told people who talk out loud, they have a hearing problem. And Dana says she's super quiet, but she loves us.
But one of the things you said, Dana, is that when we first met, you were saying like, I'm trying to find my people. And then I think one day you said a really nice compliment, like you guys are my village, or you're my kinds of people. And I would agree with that. Yeah. And don't misunderstand me. There's yin and yang. Like my husband is way quieter than I am most days. And he can let me
He talked more today than I've ever heard him talk.
The guy is jacked up right now. I'm just gonna say he just had surgery and he's a little jacked up, but he's a little bit of a talker right now. But typically he lets me talk and he's quiet. So it's a yin and the yang, and that does. But there are certain people that trigger each other that way, and that's not the truth for you, Dana. We love you and you love us, but there are some people, you know what I'm talking about, in a restaurant, 100%. And they look over their shoulder like, like, why are you being so loud? Yeah. So there's people that we trigger that way.
Yeah. The other thing I loved about the Brene Brown stuff was her talking about the critics. And, and I think what you said earlier about the critique, and, you got to sit with it and really say, is this something that I need to look at, And being on the news for 20 plus years, I had a lot of critics. And I heard all kinds of critiques.
I'm sure.
I mean, from everything from my dress to my hair to the way I talk to, and listen, if my outfit or my hair or my accent is triggering you, that's on you. Yeah. But if it's something about, hey, you could have told this story a little bit differently, or hey, I don't think you got all the facts on this story. Mm-hmm. Those are the critiques that we're talking about the work, or hey, this sentence was grammatically incorrect. Like those kind of critiques, I'm good with, because they are trying to make me better, right? And make my craft better, right? But if you're just gonna pick on the way I look, or how fat I look on TV, or whatever it was, then that's something I didn't really.
Then you would respond like this: yes. Trolls will be blocked. That was my first experience with Suzanne when we started working together, and somebody wrote something awful, and I was like, she was like, she wrote back, trolls will be blocked, and I was like, okay.
Well, I was a little bit, I got to a point. Here's the thing, when you're on social media, there's a couple of things you can do about the critics. You can ignore them, which I did do for a very long time. But then I got to a point where I was like, it's not okay for these people to be mean.
Yeah.
And you know, at some point in my career, I decided that yes, your dog is literally has been licking my feet the entire time we've been on the
She
live.
really thinks she's gonna get you kind of
has
in the
been
mood.
licking my. It actually feels really good.
Okay,
Wish you could see this dog just licking my feet the whole damn time. But you know, I got to a point in my career where I said, you know what, this is ridiculous, and it's not okay. It's not okay for people, and I wanted people to know that it's not okay for you to use your computer or your voice or whatever it is in a way that is just to be mean to someone.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
You know, and so I started to speak out. Now I'm a little less, you know, now I'm back to ignoring people. I go through different phases. I go through the I'm fighting back phase, don't mess with me, and then I go to the I'm just gonna ignore you phase. But I'm in the I'm gonna ignore you phase right now. You two are my therapy, inspirational. Everyone take note. They will make you smile. Thank you, Dana. Hi, Rhonda. So yeah, but I love that about Brene Brown. The other thing that she said that I thought was really brilliant was that if you're like she was putting herself out there, she was being vulnerable, she was doing the work, she was in the trenches. Yeah. And the people that were saying really awful things on all these comments that she read, she's fine. Monkey's fine. Come over, lick my feet. Lick my feet.
Yeah, I interrupted a love-making session here.
Lick my feet. The other thing that she said was, you know, I'm in the trenches. If you're not in the trenches, and if you're not putting yourself out there, and if you're just going to hide behind your computer screen and be nasty, then
I'm not interested.
I'm not interested in what you have to say.
And I won't even read what you have to say.
If you are in it with me, if you are in the trenches, and if you are doing the work, and if you are putting yourself out there, then your critical voice has more weight than someone who is just scared in the
standing
corner.
on the sidelines.
Exactly.
Correct. Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting too, and a good way to also look at the critical voices. And you know, it's so funny. She was talking after, what was it, a speech she had given or something?
Yeah.
And her friends and family told her the one thing you should not do is read any of the comments. So what was the first thing she did?
So while I read all the comments immediately.
That's right.
Yes, which I call a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Yeah.
You know, when you go looking on Facebook to see your ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend that you know you're going to want to die as soon as you see, don't do that.
Don't do that.
So that's
don't
another
be stalking,
tool.
yes.
Don't walk towards the criticism.
Yes.
You know, don't try to feel the pain. It's like, God, when I was in my 20s, I used to listen to Sinead O'Connor.
Oh my God.
She moans through everything. Nothing compares to, right? Like, oh my God. Don't align with the pain. Don't try to seek the pain. Don't look for it. But, you know, the other thing is a lot of people try to hide behind the whole concept of honesty. And that really can get me. Like, I'm just being honest with you, Suzanne. And so here's what I want to say to all of you. Honesty without compassion and kindness is called cruelty. Yeah. Okay, so please be honest with me, but you need to add kindness and compassion so that I can actually hear you. Right. Yeah. So if you say it's really distracting when you talk with your hands, Shannon, I wish on your video you wouldn't talk with your hands. I'll be like, wow, that's a really good point. Yeah. It's distracting. Thank you. That makes sense to me. I can now sit on my hands. Right. Right? I don't know that I can talk. But,
no, and you know.
But you know, that kind of feedback instead of like, you're so stupid. Yeah. And airheaded.
You look ridiculous talking with your hands like that. You know.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in the way you say things too. 100%.
Right.
So I think that those are some good tools as far as vulnerability. But yeah, we're going to be putting ourselves out there.
If you have any tips for us, let us know, because we're a little bit worried about it.
I told Jan, I go, do we need a PowerPoint presentation? She's like, Suzanne, I don't think we're going to do that.
It's not that kind of game. Everybody pull out your notebooks, please, and turn to page 17. That's right. We're going to start with why this is hard.
We have the top 10 reasons why mommyhood is hard. Yeah. So we are giving a speech. If you missed the beginning of our video, we are going to be the keynote speakers at the Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies of Palm Beach County. Moments.
Babies. Babies is the drink you had last night. Babies is what we're going to actually
talk about. I actually had a Paloma, which was delicious.
I never heard of it.
It's got tequila instead of.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it's similar to a Baby's.
Oh, that's
but it's got,
interesting.
it's kind of got the fruit.
Hey, Mike.
Whatever it is, what it is. Hello, Mikey. Really enjoy your videos.
Oh,
thank you, Nancy.
Hey, Wendy. How
Wendy.
you doing?
All right. So, anything else you want to talk about?
It's not personal if we turn it off right after you signed on, Wendy.
That's right.
Wendy's like, Wendy's watching. Bye.
See you later.
Anything else I want to add? I mean, I could talk about the topic forever, but I shouldn't. But I this is a good topic. I think it's really hard for all of us. I think we could loop in. Somebody had asked, when they were giving ideas for topics, they said, I want to be more vulnerable, but every time I do, I get hurt. So I think that would be kind of my closing statement, comment. I can't. It's Friday. It's a holiday, you guys. We're just doing our best. That they said every time I put myself out there, I get hurt. And so again, just like Brene Brown would say, yes, you are going to get hurt if you let people in. Right. But here's the thing: in healthy relationships, have I hurt you, Suzanne, and
Yes. We hurt each other.
We hurt each other. But guess what? In healthy relationships, I come and say, hey, ouch, or you come and say, that was painful. Yeah. And we talk about it and we modify. Right. And thank God. And it makes us actually closer and stronger as a result of it. Right. So if you let people in, they're going to hurt you. Yeah. Hopefully not intentionally. I tell people first session, I might hurt you. Right. Please come back and tell me if I do. Right. Because it's not intentional. Right. So if you love people and let people in, they're going to hurt you and you're going to hurt them. Yeah. Believe it or not. And so healthy people talk about that. We communicate. We give feedback to each other in gentle ways. Yeah. And then we change our behavior.
It's so funny. This is coming up for me that you say that. Last night when I was out with my girlfriends, and so my one girlfriend, Jenna, had to go to an outpatient place today. She had to get a procedure done. And
did you sign HIPAA before you gave that information?
Right. I'm sorry, Jenna.
She violated.
I didn't give away what procedure. I mean, it was,
something small. Anyway,
something small. So Lori, who is out with us, goes, well, can I drive you there? And she was like, oh, I was just going to take an Uber. And, it did not even occur to me to ask, do you need someone to drive you there? Right. Didn't even occur to me. Right. But it of course, occurred to Lori because she was like, that was the first thing that came out of her mouth.
She's a mama bear.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, my God, but it's stuff like that where, yes, people may not realize that they're hurting you or they're not thinking of something that you might need,
and it's not personal.
Mm-hmm. It's just it didn't even pop in my head. Mm-hmm. It popped in Lori's head, right? And so I just think it's always good to be that's why it's good to be vulnerable and to ask for help or ask for what you need or say this hurts me, or whatever it is. So,
we're not actually psychic. We don't know. What I need is not what you need. Right. It's, oftentimes it's the opposite. Right. So you think to yourself, well, Shannon probably doesn't want me to bother her right now. Her husband just had surgery and maybe I want you to call every day. Right. Right. So it's being able to communicate. I did, by the way.
Right. So, I was like, did you want me to call every day? Because I did not. I am a bad friend about that kind of stuff. You know that.
She wrote me a text. She's like, how's everything going? And I wrote a big thing back and I never heard from her again. She didn't even put a heart. She's like, okay, I guess she got the message if he's alive.
Oh my God. There's 10 text messages on my phone right now that I really need to reply to people. And I am so bad. Because if I don't answer right away, I forget.
It's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. And it's like, crap, I never replied.
But you landed with the question. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. And I'm like,
and then I didn't even realize it until I went to write you back again for something else. And I was like, oh, God, I never responded to that text.
He's like,
oh, well, what can can you do? Wait, you're not psychic, says Mike Caruso.
Well, I am.
You are a psychic. She is. You guys should be drinking some wine. It's Friday. Oh God, no.
No, I'm already drunk on life right now, so we're both under the influence of like the full moon, so we're good.
That's true.
Yeah, we are.
We are. And that's what I'm blaming for my last night antics. I says the full moon.
So that's what we got for you.
All right, so go be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Go do something that you normally wouldn't do. Step outside of your comfort zone.
Your safe box.
Your safe box.
Zone, yeah.
You know, even if it's like just
going to lunch by yourself.
Going to lunch
do it
by
all the
yourself,
time.
which I like would never. I very rarely would do that. Sometimes
I've met
I do.
the most amazing people.
Yeah.
Like the bar at, like a perfect example would be the bar at not Food Shack, but the other place, Leftovers. They have a bar, and you sit and you just get to know the greatest people. You know?
Yeah, and it's really funny because my yoga class, it starts, I do a 7 o'clock yoga class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, I just gave away my whole schedule.
And she's driving a blue Mercedes, so if you're in a Mugger or whatever, that's where she'll be.
First of all, I do not drive a Mercedes.
I know I had to kick over something. Don't tell them what you drive.
And so every time I walk in there, I literally walk in like 5 minutes before the class starts, and everyone is in there, and they're sitting on the couch, and they're all talking to each other. So obviously they get there a little early, and they're all like this little cute community, and they all know each other. And I like blaze in at 5 minutes till class and don't talk to anyone. And I'm like, I really should come a little bit earlier and talk to these people, and just like get to know them more, because I do yoga with them all the time.
Right. But if you get more friends, then we're going to be mad. Because then you like them more.
I know, but it's like I always feel bad because I feel like I should come in and like be more of the yoga community, because I do yoga with them every.
And these are your people. You love yoga.
Right.
You believe in yoga. These are the people that you might really gel with and find
a lot of commonalities. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say a date.
No. Okay, no. I mean, listen, I think I'd be better off going to CrossFit to find a date than yoga.
That's true.
Usually
That's true.
I mean, this is very stereotypical. This is a very stereotypical comment. I'm just going to say it because I'm a yogi, but usually the men that come to yoga are not.
They're not interested?
Well, I don't know.
I'll tell you a little secret.
I'll
tell you a little secret. I know some guys that go to yoga because they're like, what guy is not smart enough to go to yoga where all the women are hot and bent upside down in their spandex?
I'm like, this is like if I'm a guy looking for a woman, like the yoga studio is the best place.
Duh.
But I think I need to do the opposite. Like if I'm looking for a date, I would need to go to like the place where all the guys go.
That's true. And like the more like kind of guys, CrossFit, right?
I don't know about that. Okay, we got off topic there.
We've needed to do this apparently because we missed you guys.
Yeah.
So thank you for encouraging us.
Wendy says not her type.
No, not her type.
Just
yoga guys are not her type.
I don't know. I mean, there are. Okay, that was very stereotypical. Now all the guys in my yoga class are gonna be like, nice, very nice that you said that about
Sorry, we're not good enough for you.
Mike says Shannon the matchmaker. LOL. All right, man buns. yes, man buns. I mean, not all of them.
What's wrong with man buns? My husband, my son has a man bun.
Your son, exactly. Yeah. I'm not dating your son.
Well, and he's a CrossFit kid, right? Too. So it's interesting.
So he's a CrossFit kid with a man bun.
Yeah, he's confused. My kids are confused. There you have it. I mean, we're gonna speak at the Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies. They picked
Your
us.
dog is barking. She's like, shut up, because you guys are really going off on a tangent right now. All right. Well, vulnerability comes. Yes. You want to say one more thing?
May 10th.
May 10th. If you want to get tickets,
lunch.
They're still available.
At Mirasol.
11:30
a.m.
in Palm Beach Gardens.
It's Mother's Day weekend. Come treat yourself.
Yes, and we are live streaming. Our crew is live streaming it, so it will be. So you can also watch us.
Right. But don't come.
But don't come. Yeah, because that'll be a lot more fun. We are going to be answering questions from the audience as well, so people can ask us questions. Ask her questions. As I always say, free therapy.
Stop it.
Free therapy with Shannon.
You're brilliant. Don't try to hide it.
Hi, Roger. All right, guys. Well, we are going to say goodbye and happy Easter. Happy Pat. To say happy.
I think so. I said happy Passover this morning, so if I did it wrong, please text me.
Well, we hope you all enjoy your Passover, your Easter celebrations, whatever you celebrate.
Safely and with family and love.
Have a great weekend, and we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.